I'm stuck, David.
There's a myriad of meanings to that phrase, Donald. Are you stuck in a pile of tar? Stuck in a loveless marriage? Stuck in a thankless job? Stuck in your outdated ways?
No, I've got writer's block, David.
Oh yeah, this is a writing podcast. Or writing, whatever.
I've tried everything. This is more than just I don't have any ideas. It's more like the ideas I do have are all stupid and boring, and I can't seem to come up with anything more. I'm clogged with nonsense, and I need to flush it out to get writing again.
Clogged? Flush? Well, I've got just the thing for you, Donald. Introducing the quickest way to extricate your trunk and get those ideas flowing again. The Writer's Block Laxative.
What?
This refreshing helper will clear the constipation of ideas from your being and let the bowels of your mind feel free once again. After just one quick use, you will feel the release in your gut. No matter the size of the blockage, the Writer's Block Laxative will provide adequate plumbing, and soon you will feel refreshed and ready to digest new ideas once again.
This is disgusting. Seriously, this is basically the cerebral stimulation beans, but grosser.
One must never let ideas go to waste, Donald. The Writer's Block Laxative, guaranteed to get your rear back in gear.
Oh my God!
Welcome, fellow nerds, to another episode of The Writ, the show that aims to write a new book every month for the rest of the year. And by book, we mean Writ episode set. They're true literature, you see.
They really are. I mean, did you hear our last ad?
Well,
the subtlety present in the themes of that.
Well, and let's not forget about the fact that we are completely better than all of our listeners every time.
That's
we have
true.
Yeah, anyway, true literature. Just as important as the Magna Carta, was it?
Something like that. But I was going to say, watch as one of our fan mail is just a brand new skit that's like way funnier than anything I've written or you've written.
Oh gosh, that'd be.
And then like, look, I'm better than you, bitch.
Yeah, we're totally not aiming for kids anymore, are we?
You know, tweens at the youngest. I heard the word bitch when I was like 10.
I suppose. Anyway, sorry for the
Play any Call of Duty game online. You got 10-year-olds swearing up a storm at you.
Yeah, but you're hidden behind anonymity, you see.
Okay.
It is worth mentioning we did have to take a week off.
Yes.
I had a vacation for Christmas.
Yes, and so Happy New Year, listeners.
Yes, welcome to 2021. Hopefully it started off better than the last two
Oh,
was.
it's going great so far. Did you see what happened to the Capitol?
Well, okay. And I was thinking it'd be really hard to outdo 2020 in terms of bad, but surely there are people who actually didn't mind 2020. However, we're in 2021. Welcome back to the Writ, and because it's a new year,
right,
we get to do my favoriteest of everything.
Yay! You'll love it. Hey, actually,
mate,
heads up to the listeners. This might be the last time David here has to do it.
Maybe.
Because he hates it so much, but he's always here like a true champ. But
what can I say? I got to do my duties.
Yes, thank you. Think of this is our job, right?
I really wish I'd make enough money off of this to do, but yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. We've made a living on it. This show totally makes a profit, listeners.
Totally does. We're totally a non-profit, and we're still floating. Obviously, we're good. No,
yeah, I was about to say actually it does, but no, it doesn't because I have to pay for the studio. So, if I just had to pay for hosting it on Libsyn,
well, there is that. I mean, you've also got the other podcasts that you have listeners there, and they probably support too. But hey, if you're interested, check out Patreon. We'll plug that later.
Right. Anyways.
Before we dive into the Witties, however, for the year 2020, which is going to be special because it was 2020.
By the way, listeners, I forgot to mention, the reason why he's not going to be here again is because I might get someone else to do the Witties for me in future years, so...
I'm really, really hoping. I may still have like legacy contributions if this works out. We'll see. Anyways... Backtracking because I forgot to mention my quarantine from vacation is why we had to take a week off. So thanks for your patience.
Yes, thank you very much. That's okay. You're here for the quality content.
The best content that people for some reason like. Whatever. Anyway, before we get into the Witties, though.
I want to make the best content that there ever was.
I love how you're trying to riff the Pokemon theme song.
At least
and it
you
totally
got
doesn't
it.
work. Anyway. All right,
least it was-
but we've got our usual segments to
Yes.
go through first and mix those in.
What
So-
will we rip off from this month? It is your turn this month, David.
Yes!
Hit it.
Which means you don't get to say anything, right? Oh, no.
No.
I just go first. Got it. Okay.
No. Okay, fine. I'll zip the lip. Zip, 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 zip. See how long that lasts. See, look, it lasted 2 seconds. So a second and a half, maybe.
Anyway, okay, so long-term listeners know I am a fan of tokusatsu, and
No.
I know, right? Such a surprise. But anyway, I do still like Power Rangers, and I try and keep up to date on things to a certain extent. There is a mass exodus of Power Rangers seasons leaving Netflix starting next month.
No, or whatever. Indifference from my end.
I was
but-
going to say, for you, it's indifference.
Speaking of which, I forgot to bring you Zero Ranger. I borrowed this Japanese tokusatsu that original Power Rangers was based off of, and I said I would bring it. I didn't. Goldfish memory here.
Well, I'm not worried about it at the moment because today I'm not talking about the Japanese version. I'm talking about the American one for once.
Whoa!
Yeah. So I finally plunged in and watched the ones that most fans hate.
Oh.
I'm talking about Power Rangers Megaforce and its sequel, Super Megaforce. Now, I will talk about it later on in the Witties, so small spoiler-ish, but my opinions about media are typically neutral, net positive. I try to search for the good parts.
The only times when you don't are when everyone has told you beforehand that this is amazing and you have to watch it, i.e. Princess Bride and Avatar. So
Princess Bride I came around on, I guess. But
Really?
Avatar, though, that was not one. But anyway, so here's the thing. When I say fan, the one that most fans hate, I have seen very, very vocal people like, oh, it's the absolute worst. Nobody likes it. It was they weren't even trying. They were mailing it in.
That's definitely one that I've got a few entries here in the later category that...
So, yeah, I've been led to believe that this would be like the biggest slog of watching the franchise based on several vocal fans' opinions. Instead, I actually appreciate the end result. No more than appreciate, mind you. I don't love it, but they tried pretty hard, especially the actors. I can't say as much for the production staff, but given how many balls they were trying to juggle, well, we'll talk about that when I get to it.
I always appreciate a good juggler. Hey,
I wish I knew how to juggle.
hey, guess how do you kill a circus? You aim for the juggler.
Nice. All right. Fair enough. Additionally, God. Originally, I was going to say that I was ripping off something from Super Megaforce, but it wasn't actually because of Super Megaforce. It was just something I thought of while I was watching.
Yeah.
And it was going to be this new idea. But I found something else to talk about because, like I said, this mass exodus. And so I started watching the next season, Dino Charge, and I really
sounds
enjoy...
more up my alley.
That does. It's leaving Netflix in February. You better watch it now.
Oh, God. Hey, quick question. Are there any Power Rangers that don't have dinosaurs in them?
Oh, plenty.
Oh, okay. It's
Plenty.
not just dinosaur robots. that they have.
No.
Okay.
There are far more that don't have dinosaurs than ones that do.
Oh. Well,
Hey,
that's
if you're
sad.
curious, listeners, we did actually have a special episode of Donald's other podcast where I talked about the intersection of Power Rangers and dinosaurs.
Yes, well, it's for all on the same Patreon. So if you subscribe to the Matthew Donald Patreon, which gives you both bonus content for the Writ and my other show, Paleobites, one of the Paleobites bonus episodes, in fact, the first one, David and I did about Power Rangers, you know?
Is this where we have the cha-ching? Because that's an expensive plug.
Yep, cha-ching.
Anyway.
I'm going to edit that in this time. I never edit it. I'm going to actually do it this time.
But please go check it out. Anyway.
I'm not going to edit it. No, I'm going.
I guess you'll find out,
Well,
listeners.
you'll find out.
You'll already know. We don't as we're recording this.
I don't as we're recording this. I haven't made up my mind yet. That way I cover my bases either way.
Anyway, I really enjoy how they make a side character that has a ton of weight in Dino Charge.
Oh, like me.
Not weight as in, like, mass. I'm talking weight as in importance.
Like me. No.
We're so humble here at the Witch, aren't we just? Anyway, I'm already kind of ripping off how the secondary cast can help without being Rangers, so yay me, I guess. I was ahead of the curve. For more on that, I think I mentioned... A long time ago, I mentioned that I was working in one of my Power Rangers seasons, Fair on Storm, that I was literally doing like side episodes that were just for the secondary cast.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, I'm not about to rip off their pronunciation conventions from Dino Charge without first running it by my co-host, the self-minted Dino Nerd.
Yep, that's me.
But it proved I have some things to learn too, because I actually was corrected on a couple of ones that I thought... And this is me being not fully educated dinosaur nerd, just accessory to one.
That is true. You are my fanny pack.
I'm not going to talk about the specific example. Maybe we'll do it on Paleobites someday. But anyway, so that's what I'm going to rip off. I have talked way more than I expected to, so Donald, your turn.
I watched Soul and Extraction since the last episode. Soul is Pixar's latest. Originally it was going to hit theaters in June, but you know what happened.
Hey, 2020.
But then they decided to release it on Disney Plus on Christmas. So
much like Wonder Woman was on HBO Max.
Yeah, but Wonder Woman also Wonder Woman also had a hybrid release. It was in theaters in some places. And
it did a limited screening as well, if I recall.
Yeah, so Soul is just on Disney Plus. And man, it's really good. Like, sometimes Pixar likes to play the therapist. Like, try and teach you guys a really important lesson about your feelings. And about...
Inside Out, was it?
This is by the same director as Inside Out, too.
There you go.
Also, it's a double meaning title. Like, as well as it being about the soul and like the spiritual and that kind of thing and where souls come from. It's also about the genre of music.
I got that reference.
So that's pretty cool. So
I haven't seen the movie yet, but it does look really good.
It is really good. And it's nice it has an all black cast and it doesn't treat it like anything differently. That's
what we need more of.
And this one a YouTuber that I watch who is black, he mentioned something that was really cool about it. You know, there are several other prominent movies that have come out in the last couple of years, or one of them in like a decade ago, that have featured a black cast that are really good. Princess and the Frog.
Yeah.
Us and Get Out. Black Panther.
Particularly Black Panther. Yeah.
But what all those have in common is that they're predominantly about black culture as well. Like, especially Black Panther.
Well, particularly because it's a fictional country.
But it's based on... There's a lot of real country elements, like the dress and the jewelry they wear and the style of architecture.
Right.
Soul isn't necessarily about black culture. That's a little bit. Like, there's one part where he goes to a barber shop and, he goes to a black barber and he has a good relationship with his barber. And
what do you bet they were all singing in the shop?
Not that kind of barber shop.
Well, that's where the name came from, by the way. Anyway,
I figured as much.
Random history.
But anyways, so other than that, it treats them just like people. That's really good too. So
yeah. Well, I mean, one thing that I've noticed, particularly in the last few years, is this push for Hollywood to get more representation that's not simply token representation. Right. It's not having Kelly Marie Tran, I think was her name, being in Star Wars Episode 8 just to have her there. Is because they wanted to let these people live on screen.
Exactly, and I
guess Tran was a bad example, wasn't it? Because Episode 8 kind of tanked her role.
No, 9 tanked her role.
9 tanked her role. It was actually decent. Okay, anyway,
and she's actually a really nice person. Like, I all those haters, I don't like the sequel. I really don't like the sequels, but I do not support people bashing on the actress playing her. It's the writer's fault, not hers. She did what she could. And she's a really nice person who doesn't deserve that. So, same with all the prequel haters who made Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar Binks, nearly kill himself.
What can I say? My opinion's neutral, net positive. I tend to find if anyone is at fault, it's not just one.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other thought is, people are given what they have and they have to try their best. If they don't, then we can, oh darn, it could have been better. But why are we sure that somebody who was poorly portrayed for whatever reason is that really the actor or actress's fault? I don't think so.
Right, exactly.
Most of the time.
Anyways, but yeah, No Soul was really good. Basically, it did a really good job of just, yes, these are black people, but they're also just people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's the old adage, oh, we're all the same, which is nice in a way, but then that leads into sort of colorblind sort of things, which is also kind of problematic, because the way you got to look at it is we're all different, but that's okay.
The Writ wit. come for the writting, stay for the wit.
we're all different, but we all mean the same.
You also talked about Extraction.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I watched Extraction, which is a Netflix movie starring Chris Hemsworth, and actually directed. Well, it's directed by the second unit director of several Marvel movies. It's his first directorial debut, and it's written by Joe Russo of Joe and Anthony Russo for the Marvel movies, and it's produced by Joe and Anthony Russo.
Well, I'm sure they're not only from the Marvel movies, but that's where
they also did Community and some other stuff. You, Me, and Dupree. They did that.
Me and Dupree. Oh my goodness, I haven't even seen that, but the lasting image I have in my head of that is hilarious.
But so, it's really good. It's very dramatic. It's one of those action movies that's kind of like just pure action.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's emotional stuff to it too. I don't want to get into some of it, but it's.
Well, don't get into it unless we talk about it more later.
Chris Hemsworth is a really good actor. A lot of people sell him short because he looks like kind of like a stereotypical hunk, but he's a good actor. Kind of like Channing Tatum. Channing Tatum is also a good actor. Even though he looks like the most stereotypical hunk, teen heartthrob you can think of.
The Writ wit. Come for the writting, stay for the hot takes.
That's a running joke for this episode. The Writ wit. The Writ wit. Come for the running jokes, stay for, I don't know, get the hell out of here.
Stay for the wit. Anyway. All right.
It's really good. So there's not really much to talk about it. So, I mean, there's a one shot about halfway through the movie that's 12 minutes long, and then deals with it has a car chase, a chase through some hallways, several fist fights, and ends with two people getting run over. It's amazingly done.
Wow. That sounds like a Marvel right there.
Yeah, a Marvel.
Well, I mean, I can't call it a DC, can I? That doesn't work.
Let's see. I don't know if there's anyone in this movie that was in a DC. Surely there must be someone.
Well, small world. So probably somebody on the crew, but maybe not on screen. I don't know.
Anyways, all right. Time for your favorite part of the year.
The sad reality of this is that I was trying to keep him on track, but really I should have just let him go because I could have delayed the inevitable longer.
Hey,
anyway,
we can power through these now. Where's the others need to rip off?
All right, well, let's not power through them and make sure they're still intelligible to the listeners.
Of course.
Anyways, for 2020,
these are the best things of 2020, or the things we liked.
Well, you could tell from the title. These are the good ones that came out in 2020. That will be important. So remember that.
Yes. Yes. We're splitting this up into different segments than usual, so.
Well, came out in 2020 in part or in full, because obviously some things are currently publishing. Like we came out in 2020, but we're not including it in the next category. Works. Others need to rip off more.
AKA most overlooked work from 2020.
Although if we were going to put it anywhere, we would put it here because we're totally humble.
That's true. We should put it in here. Here. There's always something else in here. So
God, you're going to do it.
All right. Ready for the first one?
All right, here we go. Nominee.
The Paleo Bites podcast, or also the Writ Wit podcast.
Again, so humble. I guess we'll do all these nominees rapid fire, then talk about it, right?
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Sure.
Or do you want to talk about why you included Paleo Bites and Overlooked?
I want listeners! Now they're good.
Nominee.
Lego Masters. It's a reality show where these teams build a bunch of Lego stuff based on these categories. It's really good. Will Arnett is the host.
Huh. Ironic considering Lego Batman.
Yeah, Lego Batman, yeah. But... yeah, it's really good. It can get really tense. It's because it's one of those reality competition shows. You're like, no, I don't want those people to leave.
Well,
I don't want those people to be kicked out.
My mom was saying something about this has nothing to do with Lego Masters, by the way. But
yes.
My sister, who has some Hispanic heritage, is trying to watch a Spanish language sitcom on Netflix that is dubbed in English.
Oh, cool.
But the show has a bit of a music theme, so all of the songs are still in the native Spanish and subtitles, but the rest of it's dubbed in English. And so, last night at dinner, my mom was talking about how soap operas, they kind of suck you in because, like, you start feeling something for these characters, and then all of a sudden they're gone. It's just like, no!
Here's a writing tip, listeners, because this is a writing podcast. You'd hope that all stories, in some way or another, suck you in. So
There is that. There is definitely that.
All right.
All right. Nominee.
Extraction. I mean, we talked about it.
We talked a little bit about it.
I don't know if it's necessarily overlooked. I just put it on here because it's on Netflix, rather than other.
Well, it didn't release in a traditional manner, so there's definitely that. Although Netflix, except for maybe Disney Plus, has like the largest subscriber base out of the
still
streamers.
the biggest, but Disney is getting close.
Well, and I was going to say Disney is coming for its head right now. Anyway, but yes, if you have Netflix, maybe you should go check it out. It does sound like an amazing movie. I may do so, but I've got a lot
It's
of other
very
things I wanna
bloody. It's an
watch.
R-rated movie, by the way. Just
So, those of you who are under the age of 18 probably shouldn't without parental guidance. Anyway, nominee.
Love and Monsters. I forgot what this is. I actually didn't watch this one. It's
We're so underqualified.
Oh, it's the best part. I think it's Amazon Prime or Hulu. One of the. It's a post-apocalyptic movie that's very creative and is also kind of fun. They have giant bugs as the monsters rather than zombies, and it's about this guy, trying to get to this girl, and he's got a dog. And
Dog makes everything better.
I have not heard whether or not the dog lives.
The sad.
It's a post-apocalyptic movie. You never know.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
There is a whole website I think I've talked about in the show before called DoesTheDogDie.com.
Does the dog die? I believe you have mentioned it. Yes.
And I think I actually looked on and made sure to love monsters. And I don't want to say,
Oh, come on! You're already spoiling it.
but I don't even remember either.
Oh, okay. Well, that's different.
I think possible spoiler alert. That's the that I think the dog lives. I think I heard.
Oh,
So possibly.
Well, I tell you what, if he didn't, PETA would have a field day.
Well, especially if they actually killed the dog for the movie.
Yeah.
No animals were harmed in the making of this
film.
But one dog
we
did shoot in
think.
the head.
What? We're harmed in the making of this film, we think.
I was gonna say it's not really hard if it's an instant death, right? Just shoot him in the head. Oh, that's morbid. I love dogs. I'm much more of a dog person than a cat person.
Well, it helps that you have had several over your life.
Anyways,
sorry, I was gonna go ahead and say one thing that we try making nominees from various like fields of pop culture, so it's not all movies or all.
well, that's why there's
games
TV,
or whatever.
podcast, and 2 movies, right?
The sad reality of this, though, is I'm just dreading the year when it's going to be, oh gosh, we got to make sure we have one from all the streaming services.
That's gonna happen eventually. Yay!
I'm not looking forward to it if I'm still involved.
You might not be.
I might not be involved. But anyway, okay, so what's the work?
I think we should probably do
what's the winner?
Extraction because I think that's the one you would like the most out of any of these. I mean, I'd like to say Paleo Bites and Writ, though.
I mean, that'd be totally the humble brag move.
If
Let's
we
not.
made that win. So, but yeah, I mean, Extraction has a lot of Marvel people in it, so that make you interested in.
I mean, it does sound interesting. Love and Monsters. I don't care much for the post-apocalyptic zombie genre in general.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So-
I like Zombieland, but that's more parody.
Well,
so.
Zombieland was funny.
Yeah.
Like really funny. This doesn't sound like you're trying to be fun with it.
It's more fun than some other thing I've heard, but yeah.
Well, I think we have our winner in. So here's the winner of Works Others Need to Rip Off More is
Extraction.
sounds right to me.
All right.
Go ahead and make a note so we know.
The winner.
The winner. All right, so the next category is works others need to shut up about and rip off.
AKA most overhated work from 2020.
Oh boy, this one will have some conversation.
I think this one is less conversation when we talk about most overrated.
That is true, although it's worth mentioning I don't think I've seen a single one of these nominees. Which, go figure! I'm so qualified!
I've seen 1, 2, 3 of them. Okay.
Three. Oh God, I don't know which one. Okay, I'm pretty sure I know one, but anyway. All right, nominee.
Birds of Prey.
Oh yes, that came out in 2020.
Yeah, it's one of those that came out this year, sort of.
I think we should have put that in the above category. That came out in 2020? Are you kidding?
No, that came out a million years ago.
Oh, like you tried coming out a decade ago and failed. Oh wait.
I mean, it
Wait,
did come
that was
out
a TV show.
That's true. That was the Birds of Prey TV. Look, regardless of what anyone thinks about this movie, and a lot of people really don't like it, you gotta know it's better than that TV show, right?
Actually,
all right, Mr. Neutral, like trying to see the
I
good.
haven't seen the TV series or the film, but I gotta say that from what I've heard about the TV series, it was a labor of love. They enjoyed it, but networks did not.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess that's one thing. Also, this was a labor of love, too. This one, Margot Robbie was one of the producers and one of the writers.
Right.
I think it made a big mistake making it an R. Yeah, they were trying to appeal to that Deadpool crowd. But Harley Quinn has a lot of fans that are little girls that were denied this movie because of that. So
this particular iteration of Harley Quinn is probably not suitable for little girls, though.
Right, but still, you gotta not discount them as an audience completely.
Yeah, there is.
Sort of like the Marvel movies, they're all PG-13, but they don't discount kids. Like, I don't think. Like,
well,
there are a lot of kids
going
that really like
going
them.
to another thing owned by the House of Mouse. Talk about like the animated classics of our generation, where Lion King, it was something that the whole family could enjoy.
Right. And those,
the kids might not understand all of the zingers, but
that's the thing about Soul.
There.
I forgot to mention Soul. Even though it's suitable for kids, it's not really for kids. Kids are not going to get what the message is about the movie. Soul is for middle-aged men or women or anyone that feel like they haven't done anything with their life yet. So
maybe I should watch it. All right.
Okay.
Nominee.
Onward. To be fair, people didn't hate this movie, but they just thought it was eh. And I'm just a really big fan of this director. I think this director in Pixar. This is another Pixar movie, by the way. It came out this year.
Yep.
He's very underrated. He also did Monsters University, which I think is the most tragically underappreciated work in the Pixar catalog. Everyone's like eh or whatever, but that message of that movie really spoke to me. So, as someone with a lifelong dream, so
there you go.
So yeah, Onward was good. I think I like Monsters University more than Onward, but I did really like Onward. It's a very creative world too. So, anyways,
I mean, Pixar's films are usually pretty good anyway. I don't think I've run into many that are like truly bad apples. They're just some that aren't quite as sweet tasting.
I'm not the biggest fan of Toy Story 3. I think it's too dark and kind of takes itself too seriously.
And I seem to remember it was the Witties last year that I ranted about Toy Story 4.
See, I like Toy Story 4 a lot better than 3, but I still don't think I like it as much as 1 and 2. So
no, I agree with that. But again, it's kind of like it's not my favorite kind of apple, but it's still decently sweet. Maybe it's a Granny Smith instead of a Red Delicious.
I was listening to this one podcast, and they were talking about
apples?
I think we started talking about Pirates of the Caribbean. They started talking about the apples, and all the Barbosa really wants that apple. And they were talking about all the different apples they like. They all had these different favorite apples that they really liked, but they all agreed that Red Delicious was the absolute worst. And I'm like, that's the only one I like.
And remember, disclaimer, everything is somebody's favorite.
Right.
Anyway, moving on. Nominee.
The Last of Us Part 2. Did you hear the vitriol about this game?
I heard about some of the vitriol of it.
Everyone has said everything there is ever to say about this game. There's not a single thing that has not been said about this game.
Do we need anything more about this? Because I don't really play video games at this stage of my life.
I really like
Pokemon.
Naughty Dog, and I really liked the story that they told with this. People are like, oh, but it's just a classic revenge story, and they're missing the point.
Well, and I seem to remember that the original was really weird. Like, isn't it about this girl who's, like, trying to figure out who she can trust in post-apocalyptic whatever?
Yeah, this girl and this older fellow who they happen to cross paths, and they kind of form a surrogate father-daughter relationship sort of thing. And just like the first game opened up with the apocalypse just starting, and this older fellow, he lost his daughter in the initial thing, or his son, I don't remember.
Well, that isn't 2, but that's the original. So they're both really involved games. I did read a review on one of the websites that I frequently check for sports articles, ironically, but they do pop culture stuffs. And so one person there got the chance to play the game, and he said it was a really hard emotionally to play through Last of Us Part 2.
It is very hard to play, but there's also a lot of fun stuff to it too, though. Like it's still a game.
Oh, of course, you got to try and make it entertaining. That said, the last few years, game writing in general commendable efforts in making it
no,
more incredible storylines and maybe ignoring the graphics, just talking about the story elements, because this is a writing podcast.
Right.
That they have become really, really strong stories, and maybe in the days of Pong and Donkey Kong, that wasn't the case. So
Right.
it's nice to see that in the game industry now.
A thing that I'm going to spoil it. We'll spoil the setup, I guess. And I also, I guess, halfway through too. So, The Last of Us Part 2 opens, or at least very early on, with this other character named Abby killing Joel, who's the older person. Like, beating him senseless with a golf club. So,
Wow. Totally for kids.
And-
Not for kids. Joke.
And Ellie, who's the main girl that we're following, goes out for revenge. And halfway through the game, though, the perspective flips, and then you cut to Abby, who's this other girl who killed Joel, and then you're playing as her 3 days before she killed Joel. And you're seeing it from her perspective.
Why she did it.
Yeah, and like seeing all the things that from her and Joel did that were unforgivable.
Thus, the choice.
And people hated this. They completely missed the point because it's all about revenge benefits no one. And everyone is the hero or the villain in their own story.
What's the phrase that I've heard? You either live long enough to see yourself
The Dark
die a
Knight.
hero, or live long enough to become a villain.
Right,
To see yourself become a villain.
right. It also doesn't help that Abby is a very muscular-looking girl, which led a lot of people to believe, oh, she's a transgender woman who was originally male. And she wasn't, but that just made a lot of, bigots, get onto it.
Yeah, 2020 was a year for letting people kind of access those base things that really we should not say
Nope.
about others. Moving on to...
Anyways, that's basically it. So, yeah, that's what makes it notable. And I think that's a really good way to tell a story, forcing you to play as a person that you don't want to play as. You want to believe, oh, no, she's a villain, but no, you're seeing it from her. It's really gripping.
And as my usual fence sitter post, where I try and see an argument from all sides of the perspective.
Like, I get why people don't like it.
I find that to be intriguing. It offers you that opportunity, but you've kind of been like trained in one direction all of a sudden to flip it on its head.
Right.
So I can see why it's not popular, but I'm not popular either, so I like it.
It's
Moving
bold.
on.
It's very bold. Anyways,
Nominee.
Wonder Woman 1984, which this is one of the ones I haven't seen. And I've heard,
Oh, I thought it was one of the ones you had.
and this movie isn't that great, I've heard. But the way some people are crapping on it, you might think it was like a sequel to Halle Berry's Catwoman. Like it's not that bad.
And I mean, Catwoman had an amazing suit on Halle Berry, let me tell you.
Oh yeah, no Wonder Woman. And like people are calling for like Patty Jenkins to be like, oh, she shouldn't direct ever again. I'm like, wow, that's real sexism. She's done 2 great movies and 1 movie, and now you're like, oh, she shouldn't work in movies again. You know how many chances male directors get after they made a bad movie?
You know how many chances male directors get after they've made a terrible decision?
Zack Snyder has I think he has 9 films, and 5 of them have bombed, and he still keeps getting chances. So, anyways,
I think that we are too quick to censure people for doing things that don't meet up to whatever standard we hold. Is it that they aren't meeting up to the standard, or that our standards are too high? I honestly don't know.
I don't know either. But this is going pretty long, so maybe
we'll have to speed through this last nominee.
Death to 2020. It's a documentary. It's a mockumentary by the same guys who did Black Mirror, and it's like a news recap of the year, and it does everything in a funny way. And critics really hated it for some reason. But
so like our New Year special,
basically. But also,
except those were actual news reports rather than our fake ones.
But the way that these critics, this thing was very satirical and had a lot of actors portraying caricatures of a certain type of people about the whole political situation or the whole situation about the coronavirus and other stuff. And the critics, their whole vibe, when you look at their reviews, they're like, I did not find it particularly funny. It's like those guys that look very snooty and stick their nose up there like, I did not find that particularly funny.
There's no such thing as accounting for personal taste.
Anyways, all right, so it sounds like you've already picked a winner.
I'm expecting that you'll go that route. I don't know. I'm just preempting you, trying to.
I actually was going to pick Last of Us Part 2, personally. But I don't know, what do you think? Out of all those, what sounds the most interesting to you?
Well, I'm treating it from we need to, settle what's bad about these things so we can rip off the good parts of it. And I think that that Onward makes the most sense. Now, I have not seen a single one of these. I've only, talked about
the last
or played.
I think in terms of the amount of hate.
Well, overhated. If that would come up with a different answer for me.
The amount of hate received its way, The Last of Us Part 2 would win.
Probably so.
So
I would agree with that.
Onward, I don't think gets enough hate for it to be the winner, even though I probably like it the best out of all of these.
All right. Well,
so,
yeah, there is that.
I'm open to Birds of Prey, though, if you...
We're having like a freaking bartering conversation. Oh, well, I'll raise you this one.
Make me an offer. Or do you want to...
Make me an offer you can't refuse. Well, okay, for what it's worth, I believe that if you look at the AKA naming of this category, the most overhated work, I do believe that Last of Us Part 2 should win.
All right, well, you want to just make that the winner?
Suit yourself. We got to get through the rest of these pretty quick. So
the winner is Last of Us Part 2. You know it. All right.
All right. Our next thing, we're going to have to get through these fast, man. Good Lord. Our next category is creators we'd love to rip off.
AKA favorite works from 2020. Favorite creators of works from 2020. Excuse me.
And here we go with the nominee.
Pixar for Onward and Soul.
Didn't they do something else this year too?
Nope, they just did those two movies.
Just those two. Okay.
They might have done like shorts and other stuff.
Yeah, that was their bread and butter. All right. Nominee.
Lindsay Ellis. Remember Lindsay Ellis? Formerly known as the Nostalgia Chick.
Oh, that's nostalgic right there.
I mean, it is nostalgic. That was like 10 years ago that we watched all that stuff. God. But anyway, she's got fun movie analysis on YouTube, and her debut novel, Axiom's End, came out this year, so that's pretty cool.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, we'll go with nominee.
Naughty Dog Studios for releasing Last of Us Part 2, and
we talked about Naughty Dog indirectly because we talked about their game.
Right. Anyway.
Nominee.
DC for Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman.
Hey, Marvel isn't on here this year. That's a sign.
They're doomed, guys. Marvel's...
They're totally going out. DC's coming in.
Disney stopped paying the critics.
You know the sad part of all this is that it takes Marvel being basically inactive for a year for us to legitimately consider DC. That makes me really sad.
No, in 2018, I was all for Aquaman.
Well, that's true, Aquaman. But
and Shazam was really good, too.
I really enjoyed Shazam.
But the problem is it was released like the same month as Avengers Endgame.
I liked both of them. What's wrong with everyone else?
One of those movies was just heavily overshadowed the other, so...
Yeah, why can't we all just get along? Anyway, so those are our 4 nominees.
Pixar?
Yeah, I'm thinking Pixar.
Either
that or DC, but I guess I'll go Pixar because the quality.
I've actually seen Onward and Soul, and
I haven't seen either. Nor have I seen the either DC things. But it's like based on what quality we expect for. We talked about Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman 84 not being like great.
Mm-hmm.
That Pixar just has to be the one, right?
All right, winner is Pixar.
All right. Okay. Well,
this is a new category we have here next.
Yep. So, you'll hear a name that you've heard before, and you'll hear some others that you have not heard before. But we'll go on to books we probably need to rip off.
AKA books we should have read instead of watching more movies in 2020.
Or TV shows, because that happened a lot, too. Anyway, nominee.
Axiom's End by Lindsay Ellis. It's about aliens, I think it's a lot of it's from the aliens' perspective as they kind of infiltrate Earth. It's pretty cool stuff.
Nominee.
Spell Hacker by M.K. England. It's this really cool looking fantasy book. When I Googled fantasy and sci-fi books that came out in 2020, this came up and it intrigued me the most. It's sort of treats magic as something that can be hacked via technology and can be learned like a programmer. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Sorry, I am trying to look something up real quick so I can do a better elevator pitch than I didn't have ready. All right. Oh, wow. Okay, nominee, and I'm going to say this one because I happen to know the author.
All right.
Apparent Horizon by Patrick Morgan.
Oh, who's that?
Patrick Morgan is somebody who graduated with my older brother from high school.
Whoa! You know a celebrity.
Yeah, celebrity, right. It is
as much
his,
a celebrity as we are.
It is his second novel, but this one did come out in 2020.
Cool.
I'm going to go ahead and just try and pick the best part of the synopsis here so I don't have to read the whole thing. On the eve of his best friend's wedding, Michael is warned by an old classmate, now a NASA scientist, that a gamma ray burst from a nearby exploding star will hit the Earth the following morning at 11:13 a.m.
Well, crap.
An incident that will irrevocably destroy the ozone layer, disrupt the food chain, and ultimately prove cataclysmic for all life on the planet. And the tagline of this...
So it ends with everyone dying, or does
seize
it?
the day
Or it's just about...
at any cost.
Oh. So it's more just about... I'm assuming I'm assuming they don't stop it, so I'm assuming it just is about him living his life, as fully as he can for the last day.
Well, if you want me to read a little bit more, he does talk about how Michael, the main character, is saying that not saying. The synopsis says that Michael decides to go through this transformation and stop living with inhibitions if they think the world's ending. So the question posed at the beginning of the synopsis, which I did not read until now, with no tomorrow, what are we capable of today?
Now I have to wonder, gamma ray bursts move at the speed of light, so there's no way for us to detect them. So maybe they're wrong.
I've seen reviews that it is gripping, and
it sounds great.
I saw from the author he was trying to promote his own stuff on Facebook, and that's how I found out about it at first.
That's really cool. No, I'm not. I shouldn't I write books about dinosaurs with laser guns. I'm in no place to talk about...
His is certainly not very worthy.
I did not find it particularly scientific.
All right. Well, the last nominee, The Other History of the DC Universe by John Ridley. This is published by Detective Comics, and the art is credited to Alex Dos Diaz.
So is this a book or is this a comic book?
This is a... I want to say it's a hardcover made about comics. Like the perspective character is Black Lightning.
Okay.
The Other History references the fact that this is stuff that happened in the DC universe that we ignored because it came from a minority's perspective. John Ridley is also African American.
Okay.
And so I've heard that this is a seminal work. However, as you can tell from me saying I've heard, I have not read this yet.
All right, well, let's pick a winner. And I think
I want to give it to that. I mean, I'm sorry. That's just
I was going to support your friend, but sure, let's all right, fine. The winner is
The Other History of the DC Universe. Now,
John,
I do want to support...
Congrats, John Ridley, for the book that you won an award for that we haven't read. And the award is specifically that we haven't read.
Well, that's the point. Well, no, I do want to support my former schoolmate, Patrick. He has 2 books out. I believe this is his second, if I'm not mistaken. But this one sounds really interesting, and I am going to go check it out when I have the chance.
All right, well, sounds good. Well, there's no time. We got to go to the favorite work for 2020, a.k.a.
Works we will rip off from the most. So here we go. Lightning round on the nominee.
The Mandalorian. It's still great.
Nominee.
Onward. It's still good.
Nominee.
Soul. It's still soulful.
Wow. Nominee.
Extraction. Keep on extracting.
Keep on watching Netflix now. Nominee.
The Last of Us Part 2.
And last one, nominee.
The 100th Writ episode skit. The clear winner.
The hands down, no questions asked, winner is obviously our own stuff because we are nothing if not humble.
Okay, quick question, David. Have you seen any of these other than the 100th episode Writ skit?
Does that tell you your answer without me saying it?
You haven't even seen The Mandalorian? I thought for sure you would seen
I don't have Disney Plus. Why would I have seen it?
And, sail the high seas, matey.
Oh, yeah, right. No, I have not seen The Mandalorian. I've heard many things about what's its name, not Baby Yoda, and a bunch of stuff about it. It's good, but I don't have Disney Plus, so I don't have access to it. And I'm not about to encourage you take things illegally that you have legal means of access.
All right.
From America.
Well, you should get Disney Plus soon because all the Marvel stuff coming out. So
Yeah, I suppose I should.
All right. Well, okay. Even though you haven't seen any of these, and I've seen all of these, I'm gonna let you
you've
pick a
experienced
winner.
all of these. I mean, based solely on the fact that
Solely.
not that soul. Based solely on the fact that we've talked about all of these others, but I have heard a lot of things about every single one of these, including the 100th episode skit, because I was kind of there.
Well, people are. That's all the rage.
The rage? What are you talking about?
That trended number 5 billion on Twitter.
In Japan, because of my friends there. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
Anyway, I'm going to give it to the winner is... The Mandalorian.
The one we didn't talk about at all this episode.
Well, I'm sorry. It's just the best. Like, it's the only thing that's really going to continue leaving a legacy. Everything
I don't know
else,
about that, but yeah.
everything else, that impact is limited to mostly limited to its release. Because Extraction, Onward, Soul, all films. They're no longer going to be released in this year.
There could be a Last of Us Part 3.
The Last of Us Part 3, if they do it. But the fact that that game came out and all the vitriol around it came out this year, now, I say this year, 2020, we're doing the Witties. We're obviously recording this in 2021. That it's basically over, even if people will continue playing that game.
I think at least people are going to be talking about Soul for a long time. But otherwise, yeah, I guess I kind of agree with you. So
that's why I'm going The Mandalorian.
All right, well, that's it for this week. Let's end this fricker.
You said you wanted this to be 30 minutes.
We'll see how it goes. All right, a huge thank you to our patrons so far.
Yes, very much so.
Contact us at mattsd@matthewdoncareer.com for any journal questions to either co-host. You can follow me on social media at matthewdoncareer on Facebook, at matthewdon64 on Twitter, and matthewdon64 on Instagram. Why 64? Because that's how many boogers came flying on my nose after the most epic sneeze I've ever had.
Gross. You counted them?
Seriously, it was the biggest sneeze. You know how some say a sneeze is 1/8 of something else?
I've never heard this.
Yeah, this is like 8 of that something else from one sneeze.
Gee whiz, that's way too many. Anyway, thanks for paying attention to us two twits from the Writ Wit. We'll be back with more Witties next week. Until then,
I'm Matt Donald.
And I'm Matt David. Keep on writting, listeners.
Keep on writting. And wash your hands still.
Yeah, we still have to do that. Bye.
Bye.
The Writ Wit.